Hello and welcome to Deeply Curious. My name is Cody Jensen, and joining me in our New York City studio apartment is my wife, Sarah.
Hello.
In this episode of Deeply Curious, we are going to keep it light.
Yeah.
Because the last episode was all about faith and politics and pretty heavy topic.
Yeah.
So we're just going to, and it's also Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, we're just going to have some fun.
So we're going to just talk about some fun things. Also, Thanksgiving is one of those times where you're getting together with family, and a lot of times you're getting together with family that you see like once a year.
Yeah.
And so, like they say, you want to avoid the topics of faith and politics.
Of our last podcast.
Which is why we talked about it last podcast. But it's like, well, what do you talk about, you know? Because there are all these things, you know, talking about the weather, talking about what food you're eating, if it's good.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Yeah. And then also, if you haven't seen them in a year, it's like, what's been going on? You know, all that type of stuff, which, you know, is fine, catching up and all that. But after a while, there's a lull.
Yeah.
And what do you talk about?
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into that, I do want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by our friends at bhphotovideo.com.
Mm-hmm.
And if you couldn't tell, we are recording with an all-new podcast setup thanks to our friends at B&H. B&H is a huge photo video superstore in New York City, but they also are an online retailer competing with all of the big dogs because they are a big dog themselves.
Yes, they are.
bhphotovideo.com is where you can get all of your photo needs, video needs, technology needs, essentially.
Lots of things.
Pro audio. And speaking of pro audio, we are podcasting on audio equipment from bhphotovideo.com. If you want to know what we're recording on, if you want to know the mic that I'm using, the mic that Sarah's using, they're the same one. They're two different mics, but they're the same mic. Also, brand new recorder. All of that is linked in the description with links to B&H, so you can check out what do Cody and Sarah use for their podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just want to say a huge thank you to B&H, and if you have any sort of need for cameras, camera equipment, tripods, videos, video equipment, pro audio stuff, just Google it, and B&H is going to come up because that's how huge they are. Yeah. But if you just want to go to bhphotovideo.com or click any of the links in the description, would be appreciated.
Yep.
Okay, so jumping into this conversation of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Well, first, what are your thoughts on Thanksgiving? Do you have any favorite Thanksgiving memories?
I mean, nothing in particular. I think my Thanksgivings are pretty normal, average American Thanksgiving dinners. Right? There's nothing crazy that happens. I like Thanksgiving though. I'll say that.
I mean, what's your Thanksgiving experience? Like, what was Thanksgiving like growing up?
I mean, we would wake up and watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on TV every single year. That was like my favorite thing. And then we would go over to my aunts or cousins or whoever was hosting that year. There's always like, I don't know, 40 or 50 people at my Thanksgiving every year. It's like a big Thanksgiving. And then I would just chill with my cousins all day.
Yeah. I remember growing up, we would do two different Thanksgivings. We'd have one at lunch at one grandparent's, and then we would have one for dinner at a different grandparent's. And at lunch, I was always at the kids' table, and I always hated being at the kids' table.
We had a kids' table too for a long time
because I've always been, I've always felt more mature.
You're like, oh, I'm an adult.
Exactly. And so I always hated being at the kids' table because I don't want to talk about kids' things. I want to talk about what the adults are talking about.
Yeah. I don't think I ever really cared that much about being at one table or the other. I just like ate my food and then went to play. you know?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with like who was at the table. It was
Yeah.
about, I wanted to talk about what the adults were talking about.
Yeah.
Like their conversations to me were way more interesting than what kids wanted to talk about. And so I always just wanted to be at the adult table. And then
Yeah. I mean, I guess like I don't think I ever really thought that much about it. But in the after lunch, after the whole meal, I would go sit at the adult table and listen to the conversations. But I never really thought about it.
this was random memory, but I remember there was one year, every year my grandma would make these like sausage rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sausage balls. And
I
so
don't like that term.
so they were like little bite-sized,
Okay.
you know, about the size of
Like a donut
silver
hole.
dollar. Yeah, like a donut hole. It was like
Okay.
the size of a donut hole, but it was sausage and probably cheese.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like it would be.
Yeah. But
Like in bread?
no.
Oh, just sausage.
Yeah, like
Oh.
it was probably
like a meatball.
Yeah. It was like a meatball, but it was much firmer than a meatball.
For some reason, this is making me really uncomfortable. Okay.
I love them as a
Like
kid.
for breakfast or for lunch?
I mean, I think it was part of lunch. Yeah.
Really?
It was always like one of our favorite things.
For Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem very Thanksgiving.
I don't know.
Anyways,
What is Thanksgiving food, you know? It's whatever you want it to be.
true.
Um,
Yeah, because for dessert, I hate pie. And so I also hate turkey. So growing up, my mom would make a meatloaf, and that was my Thanksgiving dinner. And then for dessert, since I hate pie, she would buy an extra tub of Cool Whip, and I would eat Cool Whip for dessert. And I do that every year. That's my dessert on Thanksgiving is Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
But so the sausage balls. I remember one year that we at the kids' table, which was in the other room, like it wasn't even
Oh, okay.
next to the
That's
adult
different.
table. It was
Yeah.
like it was in the dining. It was like in the back kitchen
Mm-hmm.
while the adults were in the dining room.
Yeah.
And so I remember we got basically throughout the entire lunch, we were throwing the sausage balls at each other.
Of course, because children.
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember that we did that. And then the next year, we found one of the sausage balls that we had thrown the year prior, like in a plant somewhere or whatever. Like it was like months and months and months later, like we found like one of the
Ew.
sausage balls.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Did it look disgusting? Did you quit eating the sausage balls
It actually
after that?
didn't look any different.
Well, that's
It was
concerning
just like,
on its own.
hard as a rock.
I remember this was actually for Easter, not Thanksgiving, but
And you can't talk about it then.
well,
have to
you
wait till
said
April.
that the kids' table was in the like back kitchen. For Easter, the kids' table would be in the garage.
Annexed.
Yeah, the adults would be eating inside and the kids would have to eat outside. Because it was finally nice outside. So they wanted to get rid of all of us.
I mean, as being an adult now, I mean,
Makes total sense.
yeah, makes sense. It's like I'm trying to have a conversation here.
Yeah.
Like, put those kids in the garage.
Pretty much. Do they do deviled eggs for Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah,
Because that's your thing.
I love.
You can
deviled
eat like
eggs.
an entire platter of those on your
while
own.
I'm in line making
Yes.
my food, the first thing I'll do is I'll pop an entire deviled egg into my mouth and then grab a couple more and put them on my plate.
Yes, that's what I remember about you. Is that, or like I notice every year.
Those give you such bad gas.
Oh, it's the worst.
I mean, I'm already
Bad.
predisposed to be gassy,
Yes.
but that adds so much smell to the flame.
Yeah. And you have no regard for my feelings about it.
I have all the regard for my humor, for my enjoyment.
Yeah.
So that reminded me that just thinking about Thanksgiving and sausage balls reminded me that after we got married and a few years after us getting married, we went vegetarian.
Oh yeah, that was like a big deal.
And then like our families are everybody's from Oklahoma.
Yeah. They've learned now.
Kind of.
I mean, but generally speaking, They do a pretty good job now. But the first year that we were vegetarian was...
There's no way we could be vegan and eat there.
No.
But being vegetarian, there was like the first year that I think it was the first year we were vegetarian. We went over to my grandma's house, and my grandma, she told me, your mom, whatever, told me that you don't eat meat anymore or something. And I think we'd already had a holiday over there once, and she was like totally confused about what possibly we could eat.
Yeah.
And I think we only had potatoes and rolls.
Yeah.
That time. But then the next time she told us, I made the green beans especially for you guys without bacon.
Yeah.
It's like even the vegetables.
Yeah. She was like, I left the bacon out of the green beans for you. I was like,
that is the most Oklahoma thing.
The healthy thing on the plate was green beans, and usually it has bacon in it.
Exactly.
I do remember funny. That. And they were shocked that we couldn't eat the stuffing because she made it with the turkey
fat. Yeah.
Yeah. Broth
Drippings.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Ugh. I hate turkey. Anyway. Yeah. That was funny.
Like it's fun. It's so funny talking to, I mean, my only experiences with Oklahoma people, but it's really just like Midwestern, yeah, I mean, we were kind of the same way when we first met vegetarians of just like, how? And we had lots of questions, but not as many as our older family members.
The only reason I questioned it was because going to restaurants is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not eating at home.
But our older family members on both Sarah and I's families, they literally baffled. Like they couldn't even fathom what you could possibly eat. Yeah. Like how could you like...
They're like, what's your daily food like? I'm like,
the things. But even besides daily stuff, they couldn't even think of what to make on Thanksgiving that we could eat. Like they had no concept of what we could possibly eat. It wasn't made with animal. It wasn't animal or wasn't made with animal.
Yeah. Like, it's funny. And I mean, I don't know if this is just because I'm more educated now, even for me, or if it's just that like vegan, vegetarian lifestyle has grown so much, but it is a lot easier now to like figure out a main dish for Thanksgiving. I think even more than it was 4 years ago when we went vegetarian.
I think it's easier for us to figure out because we are more educated on the options, right? But it's still just as hard for them. Like they,
I only knew of tofurkey, and I hate tofu, and I hate turkey, and so I would just like not eat a main dish. But now I know of a lot more options. But they still like, even if I told them, they'd be like, wait, you can make a meatless meatloaf or, whatever it is. Like, yeah, just use chickpeas. Like, it's still shocking.
What was your, like, ultimate all-time favorite Thanksgiving item?
Item?
Yeah.
Like I had to pick one food.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes. Like 1,000% mashed potatoes. They are the ultimate comfort food.
Yeah. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
it was like I would get a piece of meatloaf and I would get a roll, and then half of my plate was mashed potatoes.
Yes. Because I was the same way.
Yeah.
Always had a mound of mashed potatoes.
You get a lot of mashed potatoes.
Especially if there's cream gravy.
Mm-hmm.
And brown gravy is fine.
Disgusting.
It's fine. But white gravy is where my heart is.
Yeah.
It's so thick. It's probably still on my heart.
Probably, yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
And so, man, just
see, and that's where we differ because I don't prefer gravy.
Oh, I don't understand.
I don't do brown or white gravy.
That's also because I'm a very much a sauce type person.
Yeah.
Like if I could just drink the gravy, But
just the thought of that is disgusting.
But putting it in the potatoes is where it's at.
Yeah.
But I love any sort of sauce,
You do. You're a sauce guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Do you like cranberries? Or yams? What is it? Is that the same?
I don't think it's the same.
What are yams? Yams are like sweet potatoes. I'm a really picky. I actually, other than mashed potatoes and bread, I don't like Thanksgiving food. Like, I don't like sweet potatoes. I don't like pumpkin. I don't like yams or cranberry or turkey or ham. None of that. I'm not a real Thanksgiving food person, but I like Thanksgiving holiday.
Yes. Thanksgiving to me is more of an enjoyable holiday than Christmas.
Yeah. I don't think that, I wouldn't say that because I love Christmas.
I'm not saying I don't like Christmas.
Okay, here's what it is.
I think Thanksgiving is actually a little better.
Here's what it is. I love the Thanksgiving holiday and I love the lead up to Christmas.
Yeah.
I think like going shopping for your family and friends is super fun. I love that. I love watching Christmas movies and, going to see the Christmas lights and all of that stuff. But Christmas Day can be a little distracting with presents that ultimately don't matter. And I think Thanksgiving is the same idea as Christmas, just without the presents.
Right.
Everyone's literally just there to hang out.
That's what I love about Thanksgiving is that.
But I do think there's something, I'm not going to knock Christmas though, because I love it.
Yeah. I mean, Christmas is a great holiday.
Yeah.
But I typically enjoy Thanksgiving more because it is all of the relationship and all of the
beauty
quality
of Christmas.
Family time. Like the quality time is way better at Thanksgiving than it is at Christmas because there's so much obligation involved in Christmas because of all the gifts.
Because consumerism.
Right. And if we did away with like the obligation of gift giving and it was actually about the birth of Jesus and like
spending time
like with a family, then I would like Christmas more because the lead up is more fun.
Yeah,
the
I really
season,
like the lead up to
because
Christmas.
there's so many like great Christmas movies and all that type of stuff, and then like it's Christmas.
Yeah,
and, like
you have a good Christmas breakfast with your family.
Yeah,
and then you just play games or something.
But Thanksgiving, I think family time is a lot higher quality.
Yeah.
And pumpkin pie.
You do love pumpkin pie. Probably never met another person who loves pumpkin more than you. Pumpkin pie cheesecake, pumpkin cheesecake, all variations of pumpkin and cheesecake and pie.
Yes.
You love.
I also really love pecan pie.
You do.
Or if you're from the Northeast, the pecan pie.
Pecan.
But we're from Oklahoma. So pecan pie.
Not just Northeast. My grandpa says pecan and he's from South Carolina.
It's on the East Coast though.
True.
Pecan pie is...
I feel like that's newer for you within the last couple of years.
No, my grandma made a pecan pie every year my entire life because they always had pecan trees in their backyard and on their properties, and they would always make a fresh pecan pie. And a pecan pie and a pumpkin pie, those would be the two that I would get. But I always like romanticize the pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
And then a couple years ago, well, this is probably like 5 years ago, we went to Cheesecake Factory, and Cheesecake Factory had a
pumpkin
cheesecake
with pecan pie filling.
Well, what did they call it? It was like a pecan pumpkin cheesecake pie, something like that.
Yeah.
But it was a hybrid, multi-layer, like
it was
pecan pie top,
yeah,
and then a pumpkin cheesecake, and then like a layer of pecan pie filling, and then like some more cheesecake or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow, that was amazing.
You died about that.
Yes, I was very sad whenever I learned it was seasonal and they did not bring it back.
Yeah,
but
it wouldn't have mattered because have we ever been to the Cheesecake Factory?
I mean, I definitely went back after
that
particular time.
You did go back for cheesecake, yeah.
Yes.
Enough about Thanksgiving food, though.
Well, yeah, but in more recent years, I've actually shifted, and I think pecan pie is my favorite.
Okay.
But I mean, I do still love pumpkin pie, but
you're not gonna reject pumpkin.
But pecan pie, definitely my favorite. So essentially, like what I think is fun about Thanksgiving is sitting around eating. There's something so magical, I think, of really sitting at a table with people and eating and not being on your phone.
Mhm.
So there's something magical about connecting with humans. That's what I'm saying. So whenever you're sitting around at the table and you're actually having conversations, there's just so much value in that. But like I was mentioning at the start of the show, these people, a lot of times, these are people that you haven't seen in a year,
Mhm.
and the conversation can lull
Yeah.
after a while.
Be a little awkward.
And I think the most like things that are in the forefront of our mind, maybe something about faith or something about politics, or something that is in the news, which
Right.
typically
isn't great conversation.
well, it rounds itself around to being something about politics, because you may think like, oh, like this story is really interesting to talk about, but then you forget that you find it interesting because of the way that you view the world. And if you were to view the world from maybe another political party or whatever, it ends up starting an argument, and you're like, I just thought that it was an interesting story.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking that we should just have some conversations that maybe you could steal for your Thanksgivings.
That are actually legitimately just interesting.
Right. That are just interesting conversations. Maybe we'll just spark some conversations with you and your family members.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just start us off. And since we're already talking about food.
Yeah.
The other day I was watching Hot Ones, and Hot Ones is a YouTube internet show, Grandpa, and
where they interview people.
Yeah, they interview celebrities while eating a series of hotter and hotter chicken wings, 1 through 10.
Yep.
But the other day, Lil Yachty is a rapper. I've never heard. I don't think I've ever heard Lil Yachty. But anyways, Lil Yachty was on there, and he said that he had never eaten anything spicy.
Yeah.
Ever.
He's like pickier than I am.
And he was a super picky eater. And he was talking about how essentially he just eats pizza and every day. Like that's like his main thing that he eats all the time. And that reminded me of a story that I heard, like this was probably, I don't know how many years ago. It was years ago though. And I think it was a person that was on a show like Freaky Eaters or something. And this lady, her entire diet for almost her entire life, if not her entire life, consisted only of French fries, pizza, and ravioli.
Oh my gosh.
And there was years that it was only French fries. And then she like worked her way up to eating
I want to know
pizza and ravioli.
How people like that, well, one, don't die, but like, I mean, I was a picky eater growing up. I ate more than that. But I was a pretty picky eater. I didn't like most vegetables, the texture thing. But like, I can tell when I'm having too much carbs and sugar. Like it really affects me, and it like, I don't even, I just like fall asleep, and like I can't function, and I don't remember what I did all week or something like that. Like I'm just like really foggy, and also. Like your skin like you get dark circles under your eyes because too much sugar and like all this other stuff. How do they even survive their whole life like that?
Mm-hmm. Because what's interesting is they may even have like a clean bill of health.
Right.
But it's kind of like if you were to do drugs or something, if you consistently
you kind of get
that's the reason people get into harder and harder and harder drugs, because your body like
you adapt
and you essentially you get used to it. It's like if you were to do a line of Coke a day, eventually you wouldn't really feel high anymore.
Right. It would just be like sustaining or managing, I guess.
And so in the same way with like food, you may actually be operating at 60% of what you actually could be operating at.
Yeah.
And you could be living your whole life on 60%, thinking that you feel 100 because you're so used to operating yourself on 60%. But if they were to like, change their diet and add in some like actual nutrients, vegetables. And what it's the same thing whenever people, So
But
whenever people talk about sleep and they, say like,
Yeah.
oh, I easily survive off 6 hours of sleep. I'm not even tired or whatever. And it's like, yes, you can do 6 hours of sleep, but
it's just that your body doesn't even know what 8 hours
It's
feels
very
like.
possible that you're actually operating on, 70% of what you could be operating on.
Yeah.
Because you've adjusted and
But
you're not actually operating at 100.
Yeah. But I still am just like shocked that a body could do that. That a body could adapt to that.
But a body
French
is also
fries only?
Yeah, but a body is also predisposed to live.
That's true. It is predisposed for survival.
Like it's going to try anything and everything to survive.
That's true.
So it's like you are killing yourself maybe,
Yeah.
just very, very slowly.
Yeah.
But also, I have seen, there was another guy that I'm pretty sure was French fries as well.
French fries are good. I don't blame these people.
Yeah. I may be wrong about it being French fries. It might have been pizza or something, but and so he was eating pizza. That was the only thing he ate was, I think it was cheese pizza too.
Oh, man.
Just pizza every
That
single day.
much cheese.
But
Jeez.
he was a generally healthy weight, and they like for the show or whatever I saw this on, they had a doctor. He went and got a checkup. Doctor said he was completely healthy.
I don't understand that.
Like that doesn't
Like I cannot wrap my mind around that because there are some people who do so much work for like a healthy body and like eating really healthy because they have to. I don't understand that.
It's like
Also, how can you look? I like routines in my food. I eat the same things all the time. There's no way I could eat one thing every single day forever.
But if you had to, let's say I don't know, where something happens, apocalypse or something,
Yeah.
and you have to choose one thing that you have to eat every day.
See, before, a couple years ago maybe, I would have possibly said pasta or pizza because that's my favorite food to eat. Well, Italian, generally speaking. But we went to Italy were we there for 5 days?
Something like that.
6 days? And by the time we left, I was so tired of bread. I was like, can I get a fruit? I just want an apple, So I don't actually think I could do that.
You know what I would do?
I'm inclined to say avocado toast, but I know that makes me sound like that person.
That's such a weird answer because
No,
you so
it's not.
rarely have avocado toast. Like,
Well,
I
because
can't
we
even
don't
remember the last time you had avocado toast.
Well, we don't have a toaster. So I don't like make toast. But if I had a toaster, I'd be eating avocado toast all the time. When I had a full-time job, I had that for lunch every single day for like months at a time.
Interesting.
It would either be avocado toast. This is funny. When I have my full-time job, I would either eat avocado toast or a bowl of broccoli, like steamed broccoli. Those were my like regular lunches.
I mean, it's not a bad health-wise. That sounds terrible, but
no, it was seasoned. It was flavored.
yeah, but just a bowl of broccoli.
You don't like broccoli.
No, I
then.
like broccoli, but
Every time
No,
I make
that's not
broccoli,
true.
you complain.
That's not true. I love broccoli, using broccoli as a spoon to get ranch in my mouth. That's what I love.
Yes. Anytime I make actual like steamed broccoli, you complain.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I'm like, do you want broccoli? And you're like, no.
I mean, steamed broccoli isn't bad. Broccoli and cheese is way better.
Oh, but then it's not healthy.
But then raw broccoli with
Is
with a
disgusting.
ranch dip
It's gross.
is great as long as I have plenty of ranch dip.
No. Yeah, you're the worst. But those were like my regular lunches.
Well, I think the perfect thing to choose
Yeah.
to eat every day would be a burrito.
Okay, maybe.
Because if you get basically,
But you don't want to eat too much rice.
there's people who are the most healthy people in the world who eat rice every single day.
Well, okay.
There's entire cultures
I'm just
and
saying, like,
civilizations
tortilla
who
and-
survive off of rice.
Yeah, but tortilla and rice is a lot of grain.
Well, but if I had to eat one thing every single day, a burrito is packed
You're right.
with so many things in there. Also,
You could put avocado in it.
yes. also Mexican food is all of the same ingredients, just repackaged in different ways.
Yeah.
So if you unwrapped your burrito, tore it in two, and didn't fold it and didn't roll it, now it's 2 tacos.
Yeah, you're right.
And then I could make it enchiladas by just rolling it in something and baking it. And then I could just eat a bowl. I could just dump it out of the tortilla and I could eat it, and now I have a Mexican bowl. So, and
this is so you right now. So logical.
And I have a whole protein by having the beans and the rice. So that's a whole protein. And if I went with white rice, or I don't know.
No,
I
you
actually
probably
don't.
want brown rice.
I mean, I do.
Less starchy, I think, right?
Yeah, I actually don't know which rice is better.
I always go for the starch.
I ask for brown rice now, but I don't know if. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You got rice, you got beans, you got veggies, you got avocados for some healthy fat.
Yeah.
And then just don't eat cheese in there every day. And if you are a carnivore, you could add the whatever meat of your choice in there. I don't fight me on that, but
yeah, you're right, actually.
I think a big old burrito is something you could survive off every single day.
You're right. As long as it has avocado in it.
So if you're sitting around Thanksgiving, and you need a topic of a conversation, just talk about maybe
what one food would you eat?
One food would you eat? But the thing is you gotta ease into these things by telling a story.
Right.
And maybe don't. I mean, just starting with the conversation, just starting with the question, that always works too. But if you want to be the guy, or the girl at Thanksgiving who's so interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Sarah, she came back from New York. She was so interesting. She had all these stories and these articles that she was bringing up. Man, so interesting. So start with you were watching. You don't have to watch it. You already know now. So you can start with you were watching Hot Ones, and this thing happened, and
now you know.
It made you wonder, if you had to eat one thing every day. Also, let's just stick on the food thing.
Okay.
How was earlier in the news? Did you guys see this? Hey, did you guys see this news story about the people stealing lunch money? No. What are you talking about?
I can answer for myself.
I'm just adding.
No, I did not see that.
To the table conversation.
Gotcha.
Well, the whole people stealing other people's lunch money. That's like
it's like a trope.
Yes, a trope in popular culture.
Trope is a weird word.
It is.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's lots of weird words. So this couple of people, they ended up stealing $500,000 worth of lunch money because they were lunch ladies at a school in Connecticut. And they were, over the course of 5 years, they ended up stealing $500,000 worth of lunch money. How? Because they worked behind the register. They just skimmed it.
Oh, so they actual money.
Yes, they were 61 and 67. Wow. And they were the highest paid lunch ladies in the nation, obviously. Well, yeah. They made $250,000. Well, over the course of 5 years,
$100,000 every year.
Yeah,
and we just divide it by 5.
50,000 a year. So they were making 50,000 a year a piece off of
plus
stealing
their
it.
salary.
But then they were also probably making around
at least
30.
I was gonna say at least 25.
Yeah, depending on what state they're in.
Yeah.
So I mean, they may have tripled.
Yeah.
Their salary by taking these kids lunch money. At least the kids got lunch. They weren't stealing. They were stealing from the man.
So yeah, were the registers just off by a couple dollars every single day? And nobody noticed?
I guess so. Maybe they were, might have been a small school district that...
That's insane.
Yeah, this says that it was in a middle school in New Canaan High School, and they got away with $780,000 in cash.
Wow.
If convicted, each woman could face up to 20 years in prison.
20 years at 67 and 61.
Yeah.
So
They're-
pretty much you're done for.
They got a
That's
life
a little bleak,
sentence,
but
essentially.
yeah. Holy cow. Just for stealing some kids' money.
Have you ever stolen anything?
I don't think so. I don't think I have. Have I?
I don't know.
I don't think I
Are you a
have.
goody two shoes?
Kind of.
Or you?
I mean, I never did anything like super wrong because I was always scared of disappointment. I was always scared of disappointing people, so I didn't do too many bad things.
Also, what does that phrase even mean? Goody two shoes? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think.
Like, why does everybody has two shoes?
I don't know
It's
what
like
let's look it up.
batty one shoe. And then
Goody two
is it the more
shoes.
shoes you have, the better? The less shoes you have, the better? Goody four shoes?
It's a children's story published in London in 1765.
Wow, it's been wrong for a long time.
Yeah.
You know? Well, there you go. You learned something today. In
Did you
1765.
guys know that Goody Two Shoes was a story published in London in 1765?
And isn't that just a weird saying that we say? Like, goody two shoes? Have you ever thought about what you're saying? I definitely have stolen things.
Yeah.
I've never stolen anything as a adult.
Right.
But as a child, I have a few different stealing things stories. But I think the funniest one is whenever I was in junior high. I was probably, I don't know, 13, 14, 12. I don't know. I never know what ages people are in different grades. But I was with my friend Anthony, and Anthony and I were at this time, we were insanely into cars, and the Fast and Furious franchise had been going on. Like, I don't know if it was movie 1, 2, or 3, but it was, in that era, the prime, Fast and the Furious days. And we were crazy into it. And so we wanted to make our own NOS tanks. And so what we did was we got 2-liter pop bottles, soda bottles, and we found some blue spray paint. I don't know where we got the bottles or the spray paint, but we got the bottles and the spray paint. We spray painted the 2-liter bottles bright blue like the NOS tanks are, but it didn't quite look like a NOS tank yet because the NOS tank has the big sticker on it that says NOS and the graphics and all that. But we're like 13, we don't got no money, so we rode our bikes down the block to AutoZone, and
hashtag not a sponsor.
Yeah. AutoZone. So we went to AutoZone and rode our bikes, parked them outside. We went in and we're just kind of like perusing around,
Casual,
trying not to look suspicious, which a couple of 13-year-olds trying not to look suspicious. I'm sure we looked suspicious.
Yeah.
But then the people at AutoZone are probably like, what are they trying to steal? They're 13.
It's AutoZone.
So Anthony talked me into getting a couple. I think I just grabbed 2 NOS stickers and then putting them in my pocket. And so I did it, and they're in my pocket, and my heart's beating fast. I'm about to steal something, and I walk towards the door, and as soon as I open the door, I hear this boop boop boop, and I freak out, and I just take off running. Like, I run out the door, I grab my bike, and I just take off as fast as I can. And I make it, I don't know, 2 blocks away or whatever. And I look behind me. Anthony's nowhere to be found.
Fight or flight.
Nowhere around. So I'm sitting there and I kind of like hide, a little. I'm kind of get myself out of the way a little bit and just wait for him. And it was, I don't know how long it was, but it was a few minutes later. Anthony just comes like, on his bike, just pedaling along, just rolls up to me, and he goes, "Cody, you're an idiot. The door beeps every time you open it."
It's just like the little jingle.
Yes.
The AutoZone workers are probably just laughing hysterically.
Like, hopefully, I mean, I don't know if they knew.
Yeah.
But hopefully they just thought that I was like trying to leave my buddy behind or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've stolen anything. I only remember there was this one time we were at Walmart, like my mom, me, and my sister, just doing our regular shopping like we had to do. And the, what are they called that you go through?
What?
The
metal detectors?
Metal detectors.
Or I guess they're probably not metal detectors.
Well, whatever they are, the detectors kept going off every time we like walked through it, but we didn't, have anything. And so the Walmart worker was like, yeah, whatever, just go, I guess. So we get out to our car, and then there's a necklace, like a tag, like on the little tag, like hanging on our cart, like where my mom's purse was. So we couldn't see it. But we took it back in. We're like, oh, there was this, and gave it back to him. That's the only thing I don't think that's really stealing. None of us knew that we were doing it.
Right.
And we gave it back.
And you took it back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was always too scared to I didn't want anybody to think I was a bad person. So I just never did anything crazy.
Yeah. I also stole some nuts and bolts and screws from Lowe's.
Why did you choose home improvement stores and car stores?
I don't know. I mean, this was when I was in grade school. My dad had a friend who had a daughter who was like probably 4 years older than me. And we were all at Lowe's. And so we were the kids, me and this girl were like just running around or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in peer pressure, she talked me into, for some reason, like, because they have bins of just like loose nuts, bolts, screws, whatever. So I just like, as we were walking, I would just grab one here, grab one there, whatever. And then I put them in my backpack. We left. And then I don't know how many weeks later it was, I don't know how long it was later. It felt like it was a long time. But as a kid, it might have been the next day.
Yeah.
But something like a couple weeks later, my parents call me into this, the other room. And they have my backpack. And they're like, where did this stuff come from? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I like tip my backpack over and like, I don't know, 20 or 30 nuts, bolts, screws, all this stuff just like all out of my backpack. And like, where's all this from? And at the time, my dad worked at a like an RV lot, like where they sell RVs. And I said, I just found them whenever along the walls, and whenever I was bored, I would just walk along the edge of the RV store, and I would just pick up any screws or bolts or whatever that I find, and I put them in my backpack. And they're like, "Are you sure?" Like, yeah.
It's so funny because they had to know you weren't telling the truth, right? I mean,
some of them had like Lowe's stickers around them,
right?
Still.
Like they had to know you weren't telling the truth.
It's like, and it's like,
also you lied so easily.
It's like you found them like in the cracks, around the building, and yet these are all pristine,
brand new.
like brand new. Like none of them are even like dirty.
Yeah.
It's not like the cracks of the RV shop are like, pristine clean.
You just like living on the edge, whatever that means. I think that's why you were so fine with having people tell you to steal something.
I guess.
Anything that's dangerous, you like.
I don't know.
That's true.
I mean, I do enjoy some thrill, some danger.
Yeah.
But
which is probably why it was so easy for you to lie to your parents, too. You're like, it's whatever.
You want to hear one of the best line stories I have?
Yeah.
So I was probably still in junior high at this point, and I was a big skater kid, and my parents owned a water park, and in the back of the water park, my dad built this skate park for us all to skate, and we opened up this little skate shop, and we were sitting in the skate shop, and it was like me, 4 or 5 of these other skater boys. Mm-hmm. I said, "See you later, boys." Mm-hmm. And that morning, this is a funny part of the story too. That morning, before the park was open, we went swimming in the water park. We were going down the slides and all this stuff, and because boys will be boys, we decided to go down the tube slide with our pants off. And so, or pants down at least.
Yeah.
So we would sit on our bare butts and we were like, go down the slide. And we figured out that it's actually like super fast because there's no friction because your butt is so soft and supple.
Okay.
And it would just like, zoom, like straight down, like the swimming trunks get like,
Yeah.
caught and whatever. It's just like crazy fast to go down. And so we started saying, if you want to go fast, go bare ass, or something. I think pretty sure that was like that because it kind of,
Yeah.
saying it now, it doesn't really rhyme, but
Well, enough.
yeah, it rhymes enough.
Yeah.
And so we would like kept saying this or whatever. And tiny little backstory. I grew up in a Christian household,
Right.
did not cuss.
Right.
I still don't really like cussing myself. I mean, I don't have a problem with cussing. I just like,
Don't do it.
don't do it.
Yeah.
It's just not part of my vocabulary.
Right.
But I don't even really see ass as a bad word, but
Right.
at the time.
It was forbidden.
And so we were sitting around in the skate shop and there was this marker and everybody kind of started drawing on this kid who had a shirt off. Nobody
Boys.
knows why these things start. But I wrote on his back, like pretty big, if you want to go fast, go bare ASS huge, like across his back. And then the other kids, they show me like, he wrote ass on your back. And I was like, we were all laughing or whatever. And then he goes, I'm going to tell your parents, or like, I'm going to show your parents. I was like, no, don't. And so he like, I think me freaking out so much made it even more enjoyable.
Yeah.
For
he was
him.
like, oh, I'm so going to do
Yes.
this. Yeah.
If I would have just been like, I don't care, go show him.
Yeah.
He'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But no, I like freaked out because I very much thought that if they knew that I wrote ass on somebody, I was going to get a whooping. And so I'm literally holding on to him. He's like a few years older than me, so he's bigger. And I'm like grabbing onto his leg or arm or whatever, just like trying to hold him back, like, please, please, please. So, but he powers through, he makes it in there, and he tells my parents. And my parents ask me, like, did you write ass on his back? And I was like, no, I didn't. And then all the other boys, kind of
We're like, obviously he did.
they like all look like, it's like slow motion, everybody looking at the same time, like,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm like, I didn't do it. And so like they take me inside the office and they're like, it questioned me like, did you do it? Did you write it? And I was like, no. And I like vehemently kept denying. They even brought one of the kids that was in the room in there, and he was like, Cody, just tell him that you did it. And I was like, but I didn't.
Because once you set your mind
Yes.
to something, that's it.
He witnessed me. He like watched me write it, and I'm like looking him dead in the eyes and saying, I did not write anything on his back. And he's like, but you did. And then, so I don't know how long I was in the office, basically in the interrogation room for like 30 minutes, whatever.
Long time. Yeah.
They were just waiting for me to like actually tell the truth, because there was the guy that has on his back, and then there was like 5 other kids that were all like, yeah, Cody did it. Nobody's sticking up for me. But then I blamed it on another kid, obviously. I mean, who else? It was like, well, if you didn't do it, who did? And it's like, well, it was, I don't know who I blamed it on. Dustin. And so they brought Dustin and I into the office and gave us both a piece of paper. And they're like, all right, both of you write ass. And I was like, oh, I got this. I'll just write it I'll just write it different. So I start writing, and as soon as the A is leaving the pen, I'm like, oh no, it looks exactly the same. And then like I complete the word, and it literally is identical. It's like you don't need any specialist, you don't need some forensics to do this. It's like and then obviously Dustin's looks completely different. Like I told myself before, like, just write it completely different, and then like I go to write it and it's identical. So obviously
and your parents were like,
Yeah.
See.
So obviously I'm outed.
Yeah.
That, I'm some heathen kid who knows how to spell ass.
You know what I learned recently is that I'm a good liar. Remember there is this I think it was on a podcast or something where they were talking about you can tell if somebody is a good liar based on how they write a Q on their forehead. And if you write it to where the other person can read it. So if like I write it backwards to where you can read it, that means I'm a good liar. Because you can anticipate what other people want and need and like react to that.
Yeah. So it's like you ask somebody, draw a Q on on your forehead.
Yeah.
And if they draw the Q with the capital
line.
Q.
Yeah, a capital Q.
If they draw the line on their right,
yeah.
then they're drawing it for themselves.
Right.
But if they draw on the left, then they're actually drawing it for you.
Yeah.
And that is a very unscientific way.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a measure of whether somebody is naturally empathetic, which also allows them, to possibly be a better liar.
Right, because you can anticipate what other people want to hear / need, etc.
Yeah.
I'm a good liar.
So everybody at your Thanksgiving table right now,
yeah,
draw a Q on, look over at Grandpa and be like, hey, Grandpa, draw a Q on your forehead.
Yeah.
What?
I think that's kind of a fun little test, actually. And then, because of making videos all the time, I think it's actually true. Because we've had to like refilm things, whatever. You have to like learn how to act a little bit.
Yeah.
And I can be just as excited the second time as I was the first time.
Yeah, that's true. There's been many times where I, said something funny or whatever, but I kind of miss it on camera.
Or even you missed the shot, and so
like
I have to act surprised
and so
again.
There'll be sometimes where we'll do it again, and I'm like, and Sarah will genuinely, even to me in the moment, like, you're genuinely laughing again, and I'm like, oh, there's no way I could do that.
Yeah, I'm good at it. I don't know if that's a good thing though. I feel proud of it, but I'm not sure if I should be.
You know what the lesson was on getting caught?
Yeah.
With writing or lying was my parents after it was obviously me, and I said
yes,
it was me, and I apologized to the kid that I blamed it on and apologized to them for lying. They said, you wouldn't have been in trouble if you would have just told us that you wrote it. We would have just said, don't do that again, and now go away. But because you lied, now I'm, I don't know, probably grounded. And I specifically remember that I was sent to the back of the kitchen to break down how many ever, felt like 100 different boxes from the shipment that had come in of all the, all the concession foods.
Right.
That comes in all these cardboard boxes, and to put them in the dumpster, we have to break them all down. And I was sent back there, and I just remember sitting there with a little box cutter.
Maybe that's why you don't lie now.
Like,
maybe that's why you're so fine with telling the truth. It's because you learned that if I just tell the truth, everything's fine.
That's possible. Because, I have such a problem with, like, lying now. Like, I really, really, really hate lying.
Yeah.
And so I never lie.
Right.
Now, and it really bothers me when I find out this. Like, I always trust that other people are telling me the truth, and if
I think, you should.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and if I find out,
but you're like so bothered by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if they're my friend.
Right.
Or,
which,
family or whatever.
On a different level, that makes sense. But
somebody on the street. Obviously, I don't want to be lied to.
Right.
But somebody on the street, it's whatever. But if I find out that a friend of mine like lied to me, it bothers you
a lot.
Very, very much so.
Maybe it's because of that.
Maybe.
Because your parents were like, if you had just told the truth, everything would have been fine. But because you lied, now you have to go break down these millions of boxes. And it's solidified in your brain.
It might. Good job, Mom, Dad. I guess you made a truth teller out of me.
I suppose so.
Like, even whenever, like, now if I'm in a situation where, I don't know. Well, I think a good example is I'm in a conversation in a group of people or whatever, and somebody I zone out.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody like says something or asks, whatever, like I come back into the conversation instead of like trying to play it off and act like I was listening the whole time. I'll just say like, oh, sorry, I zoned out for a second. Can you repeat what you said? Like, just own up to it. Like, I'm not trying to pretend here.
Yeah.
Which, I think ultimately goes into just being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that authenticity is such a thing that we strive for.
Mm-hmm.
And because to me, if you're not authentic, then you're lying.
Yeah, but that's a funny correlation, I think. Because I don't necessarily feel that. I don't feel like if you're lying, then you're not authentic. Like they don't necessarily, it's not like the two sides of the same coin to me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I am fine with lying because I'm not. But I'm just saying like, it's a funny correlation that you like equate those two things.
Yeah, it's not like it's not a conscious like pathological lying type thing.
Right.
It's more so you're lying in some form. You're either lying to others or lying to yourself. Like if you're putting a mask on and you're showing up as somebody that you aren't.
Right.
Then you're pretending, which ultimately is lying. Like if you were, it's a strong word to use for it.
Yeah.
But
and maybe that's just it. Maybe I just use different language because I'm not as blunt as you are.
Because if you show up to a party and you are putting this mask on and you're acting like you're some, I don't know,
right,
jock,
you're putting off an image.
Whatever. Like you're putting off this image like you're some strong like sports guy, because you kind of want to get in with the crowd or whatever, but really you don't really like sports and you're actually into something else. You are lying to everybody.
I know, but see, I don't think of it that way. I think of like, well, they just don't want to be rejected. You know what I mean? It's just, I just think that's kind of a funny correlation that like authenticity or inauthenticity to yourself is lying. Even though like, I guess it is, but I don't know. It's a weird correlation to me for some reason.
I think
but you also are so like against lying that if you tell somebody some information and then find out that it's not correct, you like call them and you're like, I'm so sorry that I told you the wrong information, even though it was correct with the information that I had at the time. But 6 months ago, I told you this and it was actually this.
Like that's legitimately happens to me.
Yeah. That's
like
what
there
I'm
are
saying.
times I will tell somebody something and
based on your current knowledge.
Right. And I am telling them the truth that I have.
Right.
And then something it might be like months later, I learned that I was wrong. And now I feel like I lied to that person.
Yeah, which is just crazy. It's funny.
They don't even remember the conversation.
Yeah, they're like, whatever.
And if they do remember the conversation, they definitely don't remember the detail that I said it was 60% and it's actually 50.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny.
So there are some, news story kind of related things that you can bring up at the dinner table, start some conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But also if you're looking for maybe just some random things that you want to start some conversation, a really good resource is Shower Thoughts on Reddit.
Yes. I love Shower Thoughts.
I have some Shower Thoughts pulled up here. I'll just read a couple. I don't know if some of these will actually make conversation, but they are funny. Like hand dryers are a really good way to waste 5 minutes before you wipe your hands on your pants.
That's true. Actually, that could be a real conversation, though, because that science study thing came out about how hand dryers are really just germ collectors. Mm-hmm. They're like, they're not cleaner than paper towels.
And just blow the germs
everywhere.
They
blow the germs everywhere.
But
think about that next time.
but it does help the environment.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the trade-off here, But then there are those people who don't wash their hands at all. And that's gross. So pick your germs, I feel like.
Have you ever thought about that you might have initiated a chain of yawns that has been going on for years that you're unaware about?
Oh, that's mind-blowing. I it's so annoying how I can't not yawn if somebody else yawns. I can't do it.
Empathy.
I have to yawn, even if I'm not tired. And it drives me crazy.
That's another thing that they say is like a sign of like higher your empathy scale, the more likelihood you are to yawn if you see somebody yawning.
It's so annoying. I don't know why. Why?
I don't know. Just because you
like, oh, I feel tired too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
like I feel your feelings.
Because exactly. You like feel
yeah.
their tiredness. Like it becomes like part of you and then you yawn.
That's true, actually.
This is also true. You don't realize how noisy everyday actions are until you try to do them in the middle of the night.
Ooh, yeah.
Everything is so loud in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Is it like, I almost wonder, is it because everything is loud or because for some reason in the middle of the night your senses are heightened?
Right, because your eyesight is less, so your hearing takes over. Because your senses like kind of balance each other out.
Right. And also my experience with the middle of the night is always like waking up in the middle of the night. And so it's like, if you wake up, are your senses heightened right in that moment? Or is it even if you were to stay up and it was the middle of the night?
I think even if you stay up.
But it's so crazy. Like I have a bottle cap in my hand and I'm going to drop it on our hardwood floor. It's like that to me, we didn't really seem that loud.
Right.
But if I did that in the middle of the night, I'd be like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Like, I woke up the whole neighborhood.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, that definitely would like jolt me awake. I don't understand it. Even just walking. Like if I'm walking in the middle of the night, I'm like tiptoeing.
Yeah.
Trying to be so quiet on our hardwood floors, which is so dumb because.
But also the senses are heightened for everybody too, because there are times whenever like I have like a gig that I'm going to early in the morning. And so I get up and I'm like, I get ready and I do this and I'm being like as quiet as I possibly can. I'm like, tiptoeing, opening every door, whatever, just like as slow as possible and just like doing everything in like a slow, smooth pace. And then I get home and Sarah's like, you were being so loud this morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is not any way I could physically be any quieter.
Yeah.
I would have had to float it out of this apartment.
I always have that complaint. Like even that happened this last week. You had to be somewhere at like 6:30 or something. And I was just like so annoyed because you turned the light on and I could, like it woke me up. And then like I heard everything getting ready. I heard you try to shut the door quietly. I heard you try to lock the door quietly. I was like, I'm already awake. Just
another shower thought. Students who try hard in high school grow up wishing they had fun. But students who only had fun in high school grow up wishing they had tried.
Yeah. Grass is always greener, right? That's sort of what that means.
I guess. I don't wish I would have tried harder. I mean, like.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I don't wish that I had more fun. I think I tried hard in high school. At least. Yeah. I think I was naturally smart and like did well. I was in AP classes for some subjects. But I wasn't like overdoing it. Like I didn't, kill myself to graduate with 4.0. I don't know. I
mean, I had fun. I also graduated with, regular good grades. Like I had like mostly A's and B's all through school. I mean, like the occasional C, but the only like person that bothers is my parents.
Yeah.
Like if I'm graduating, I'm graduating. I don't care.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think that I wish that I had more fun or less fun or whatever.
Yeah. So take that, shower thought.
Yeah.
We're balanced people.
Though I do understand the grass is always greener. I think maybe that more so applies to college than high school. I think more because you're like a little older and like a little more mature and you can really appreciate your the consequences of what you did in college versus high school. If you graduate high school, you graduate high school. But like if you don't graduate college, if you don't like pass, it's a big deal. But then also if you have no fun in college, your memories of college suck. So there's like I feel like it's more obvious.
Yeah, I don't know. Never went to college.
I kind of wish that I had. Not really. I take it back. I do like the learning aspect of college. I really do like the idea of like going to classes and things like that. But the whole college experience, meh.
Yeah. I have no desire
Yeah.
to learn things that I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
I love learning things.
Right.
But trying to get my general education and trying to do all this.
There's a difference in like learning things and then like having to sit through math lectures.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's things that I'm interested in,
right.
Like if I could go to college and it was all like creativity, design, photography, video.
Just auditing classes you want to.
Right.
Yeah.
If it was all of that stuff, heck yeah.
Yeah.
But also like.
But then you still, it's kind of the whole, I do appreciate a classroom learning environment. So I'm not, but there is that argument of like, you don't actually need to pay for that education anymore because it's available on the internet. And that is so true. Yeah. But there is something about a classroom learning environment that I can appreciate.
Yeah. Last thing.
Yes.
Before we wrap up. This is another shower thought. You've probably once had a dream so vivid that it made that you think it's a memory, even though it never really happened.
Interesting. Well, I'm never going to know, I guess. You want to know, this is maybe a little morbid. I don't know. I used to have really vivid dreams, maybe like in junior high and high school, of like getting shot. It was like a nightmare, basically.
It's called living in America.
But yeah, but like the shot when it like hit me would wake me up every single time. I dreamed that dream. I don't even know how many times.
You know, I've heard many times that they say if you die in a dream that you die in real life. I've
been shot a lot of times in my dreams.
No, but you wake up
from the shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you didn't actually die because you woke up.
Oh, I see.
Like,
yeah.
You didn't die in the dream because you got shot in the dream, but you woke up.
Yeah.
Like I've heard.
But there was always a pain wherever it was I got shot in my dream.
So ask your family members, did you
punch me?
Have you ever died in a dream?
Yeah.
And then we can, then report back.
Yeah.
And then we can disprove this thing that I heard once.
This thing that I heard once.
That if you die in a dream, you die in real life.
What's your most vivid dreams? Do you have one? Or like the most reoccurring, maybe?
As an adult, the most reoccurring dream that I had was being Sunday morning at church, being in the tech booth, and something insane going wrong.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like
that actually happened. You had that dream the night before we got married.
Right.
That you were in the tech booth, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And something went wrong at the wedding ceremony.
Yeah, in my dream.
In your dream.
I was in the tech booth at my own wedding.
Yeah.
And something went wrong.
And he freaking made it happen because that's really what happened. Something went wrong. Like the video froze or something. Mm-hmm. And so the pastor was like, let's pray. And then you ran off stage to the tech booth to fix it.
Yep.
I guess it's a good thing you dreamed that so many times.
I guess. I mean, I don't know if that was the first time I dreamed it, but it might have been the first time I dreamed it. It actually happened the next day.
Yeah.
But then I kept having that, for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
I would have that dream that something went super wrong at church while I was in the tech booth. And the video ends and the next person that's supposed to be on stage is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Or the computer, it freezes and, it's surreal because it's a dream and there's nothing that will fix it. It's just in this limbo of everything's going wrong. Something, like that was my most reoccurring adult dream for sure.
Yeah, I always just dreamed that I got shot.
Have you had adult recurring dreams?
I've had a few, but not reoccurring for years. Only for I'll have I had this one dream that I kept having for maybe 3 months or something, but then it went away. And I wrote about it. Is the one where I kept dreaming that I was in this tiny town in England somewhere on cobblestone streets and it was raining, but I don't know where it is. It was that dream, and I kept having it for 3 months.
And then it happened.
No, I haven't been to England yet.
Oh. Well, I was thinking of Assisi.
No. That's Italy.
I know.
And that was 2 years ago. This dream was happening. I had this dream last year?
So it was a memory of walking in Assisi.
No, it was like an actual dream. I didn't know where I was.
Oh, it was Assisi.
Oh my gosh. Anyways.
My second most reoccurring dream as an adult is, for some reason, I didn't graduate high school, and I have to go back.
Oh, that's a terrible dream.
Yeah. Like that is I've had that recurring dream for, I mean, I've been out of high school now for 11 years.
Yeah.
And legitimately, like, I mean, I probably haven't had it in a couple years, but throughout my adult life, I've
crazy.
had this nightmare that I didn't actually graduate and I have to go back to high school.
That would suck so bad.
Yeah, I would.
Do you have
just be a dropout.
Dreams? Like, you wake up and can't really explain why you had that dream?
No, yeah, absolutely. But that's the thing, is that I've heard this many times, and I think it's true, that, you know, we have these crazy, weird dreams, but they're not interesting to anybody but you.
Yeah. I think my weird dreams are mostly like
nobody wants to hear about your weird dreams.
In it are weird. The dream itself is totally normal, but the people in it are weird. Like, I can't really explain why Michael Cera was in my dream. You know, like, he was just like chilling, hanging out. We were whatever. I don't know why. Stuff like that. It's not like weird dreams. My brother once had a dream that he was just driving a tractor the whole time.
Yeah, I remember that, because he drove a forklift at work a lot.
Oh yeah, forklift. That's what it was.
And then he had a dream at night that he was driving a forklift. So he woke up exhausted from work and then had to go to work and drive the forklift.
That sucks.
That is the worst.
Yep.
Like, gotta check in for my my shift and fall asleep.
Do you think dreams have meanings, or do you think that they're just our subconscious getting rid of all the crazy stuff?
I think mostly they are subconscious.
Yeah.
Like processing and, it's our brain's way of dealing with information. It's also our brain's way of storing memories. It's also our brain's way of dealing with trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma is always lessened with the more nights of sleep that you have.
Yeah. I do think that dreams I pay attention to my dreams. Like, I kind of take note of what I'm dreaming and why. But I do think mostly they're just like a subconscious.
You should do something with that. Maybe call it like a dream journal, like a dream journal.
Oh, I've never heard of this thing before.
Wow. Created it right here. TM. All right. Well, have a happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully these conversations will spark some ideas for you that you can bring to the dinner table. And you can be, wow.
Interesting.
Chad is so interesting.
Where's he learning all these random facts?
Did you hear what Nicole talked about at Thanksgiving? That was so interesting.
Yeah. How did she know that?
Who were the Jensens? They kept talking about the Jensens. As a reminder, this podcast is brought to you by B&H. B&H Photo Video Superstore in New York City, but also at bhphotovideo.com. The links to all of the gear that we are using to record this podcast are in the show notes. Go ahead and click a few of those, see what we're recording with, and remember to check out B&H for any of your technological needs.
Yes.
And while you're down in the show notes, you can also check out our socials. I am on Instagram and I'm on Twitter, and we also have a YouTube channel if you didn't know. Yeah. All of the links to that are down there, or I guess if you're in a podcasting app, they're not down there. They're just there somewhere, depending on which podcasting app you're using. But
they're around.
Follow us on Twitter at Deeply Curious FM. You can follow me at Cody_Jensen. Follow Sarah at Sarah_Jensen, and also on Instagram.
Yep.
Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.